Hi, I'm Rochi. I tried to create an animatic short like the pros, but failed. I just recently came across this behind the scenes documentary of Frozen 2. I thought it was pretty cool seeing all the animators and how everything works, so I was wondering, how do you produce animation on a Disney Pro level? I remember drawing when I was just a wee little kid and watching a lot of anime and trying to draw that anime was pretty fun. Now I want to learn more. What if I could level up and go pro? What if I could make something that people would enjoy and want more? And this is where Frozen 2 changed everything. Seeing all the work done in Frozen 2 was inspiring. I was so inspired in here. These people were creating literal magic. Elsa was, building ice castles, and I was over here trying to, draw a circle. But, it's gonna be a big task, but I gotta push through it and get it done. With just me, my X Pen tablet, not sponsored, and my imagination. First thing I had to do was make that project goal, make my own animated short. I mean, how hard can it be for just one person, right? Right? I may have to rethink this. Frozen 2 had an art director, an animator, a technical animator, a writer, an editor, production design, character design, lighting. Seriously, there were like 400 people working on this movie. The best way to tackle this is to break the work down into little pieces. That way, you can put a different hat for each job and not go crazy. Possibly. But this is also a good chance to figure out which role I like the most if I apply to any of these studios. I mean, that would be great. Okay, I needed a story first. I did write this first chapter of a story that's kind of like Superman, but not really Superman. Okay, maybe it was exactly like the start of Superman, but, different. In Frozen 2 behind the scenes, Disney had these meetings called story trusts, where all these well-known directors and writers gave feedback. I don't have this, so I'll probably rely on you guys, but once they had their story, the director's vision had to be put on screen. Enter in the storyboard artist. The writer of Frozen 2, Jennifer Lee, mentioned that storyboard artists are not just hands that draw. They are storytellers and they are deep thinkers about story, and they know these characters as well as we do, and we depend on them to keep pushing the story to new places. The one thing I won't forget her saying is that if you can feel it in the boards, then you know you have something. And with that in mind, to fill the storyboard up, I needed to draw. So the first thing I needed to do is loosen up with gestures. I was amazed how the Frozen 2 storyboard artists made their lines so free-flowing but also expressive, so I needed to keep my characters simple so I can practice some gestures and then get to the storyboard fast. Alright, so it should be easy, right? Just capture the motion of the body, the flow of the movement, the spirit of the pose. Flailing stick figures. Need some help? I can generate gestures for you. No, I'd rather rain Super SpongeBob. My first attempt at storyboarding was a bit chaotic. My characters were floating in weird spots. Whenever I came back to the drawing, I couldn't figure out what I had drawn, and everything looked like it was on a flat pancake. I needed to be more 3D-ish. So we can probably look at what the Disney storyboard artists used. As you can see here in this shot, we have Elsa here right in the middle. She's like the main boss. I don't see the rule of thirds used here, but we still see her head on top of that line. There's also an interesting diagonal line that you see here, and then we got these leading lines, which gives the scene some nice energy to it. This is just one shot of many others. Other composition types include close-up, wide shot, medium shot. We got the high angle, low angle, over the shoulder, and POV. Now that we have some kind of knowledge, it was time to level it up. Okay. It was time to level up and get to work. More practice. Okay, to start the story off, I made 6 frames, added some shading to make it pop out a little bit. I drew in the lines for the rule of thirds and drew in interesting points. I added a diagonal line here, some leading lines, just like in that Frozen 2 storyboard. So then I took my frames and turned them into a rough animatic. That's when you put the storyboard in the timeline, add some timing, pacing, and even some scratch audio if you're feeling a little fancy. Of course, I didn't have any voice actors, so I did the next best thing and had Yoda do it.
Yes, that's me, Yoda. Voice acting I will do. Yes, TIE Fighter sound. Sword sounds I play. This be the sword sounds. Let's try that again.
The battlefield was filled with the blood of the armies of the East called the Valguard. The conflict was harsh and there was little hope left for the kingdom. Fire rained down from the constant barrage of the Valguard's elite weapons. It was all lost to General Show. In the foyer of the Galadon fortress, a pair of clothed figures raced across the bridge, holding a small bundle which looked like a baby. The queen carefully laid the baby in a protective chamber pod. In the last second, the queen activated the travel crystal and sent the chamber pod hurtling through dimensional space. The baby's eyes stared blissfully in space as the queen's figure faded away until only a quiet calm existed. I started this journey thinking I could just sit down and make an animated short like they do at Disney, but watching the Frozen 2 behind the scenes opened my eyes. I learned that animation isn't just drawing pictures and moving them around, it's layers and layers of work. They got story, composition, characters, lighting, music, and teams of talented people putting it all together. We just looked at the tip of the iceberg, storyboard, and composition, and learned that every part of the project takes patience, practice, and being okay with making mistakes. We're still here at the start, and I did fail to complete a full short animation, but we're gonna get there. If a whole team worked on Frozen 2 for years, maybe it's okay if it takes a little time, so onward to the next level. If you liked this video, follow me and we'll figure out what the Disney pros did next. Laters!